of course, the Arua City Super 8 is set to return very, very soon in September. That's when the games will be kicking off very, very soon here. And we are going to be gracing ourselves to watch some of the young talents currently in Arua City. These are some of the stories that we will be discussing. Do not forget in KCCA yesterday doing a double against Bull FC yesterday in the Uganda Super 8 tournament. That was actually that are currently going in. Of course, KGCM did actually record a 2-1 win yet again over Bull FC. Internationally, there's a huge one. Of course, Rodri is pushing for a move away from Manchester City. Of course, he prefers a move to New Camp. Of course, Real Madrid were interested in his services, but he prefers a move to Barcelona, whereby he'll be playing with the likes of Gavi, the likes of Pedri, the likes of Dani Olmos of this world in the middle of the park. So these are some of the things that we shall be discussing with you. Of course, not forgetting Vipers actually head coach, that's in the name of Denis Lavin. He did say that the Vipers had landed in a very, very good opponent when it comes to the CAF engagement. So these are some of the stories which I'll be discussing with you. And let's begin from home, and we talk some of the biggest stories making headlines in Arua City. Of course, the Arua Super Cup is set to return very, very soon, and the games are set to kick off on September. On a date yet to be communicated, but the official convocation is already out, and teams are going to be participating in this. Of course, this is a tournament which is termed to be a pre-season tournament for the teams that will be playing in the West Nile Regional League and the team that will be playing in the 4th Division League in that perspective. And it has been termed as a team that is going to be gracing themselves for a way of preparing themselves for the title of Uganda League, that's the Western Regional League. Not forgetting the 5th Division League. These are some of the things that are going to be happening in early September. You're going to be waiting to see teams like Ramachaku, teams like Kuluva Rainbow, teams like Ilia Football Club, teams like Arua Airfield, teams like Mission Foundation. These are teams that are going to be gracing themselves in the tournament. Of course, this kind of tournament is termed to be as a way of actually identifying grassroots talent, or as a way of promoting grassroots football. Of course, we have seen a number of youngsters being unnoticed in the lower tiers of the divisions, whether it be in the 5th Division League, whether it be in the 3rd Division League. There's a lot of talent in that, and this talent has been unidentified. And I can confirm to you, teams that have been identified already that will be taking part in this tournament. We have Odramasa Football Club that will be taking part in the Super Cup. We have Liye Football Club, which will be in the Super Cup. We are having Kuluva Rainbow, which will be in the Super Cup. We shall be having teams in the 4th Division League. We shall be having Arua City Council, which will be equally playing in the Super 8. We shall be having Ovation FC, which will be playing there. We shall be having Arua Airfield that will be playing in there. Of course, Mission Foundation is equal into the mix, and they'll be playing in the Arua Super 8 Cup. Now, there's one team that has been given a slot, one of the most organized teams in Arua City here. The team can be positioned also to take part in this. Of course, 7 teams have already been identified, but now the 8th slot has been given to one of the most organized teams in Arua City. Now, which team is that? Could it be Mvara Football Club? Could it be Lea FC? Could it be the Pioneers? Could it be the Arua Sararights? So this is the $1,000,000 question that we are going to be asking ourselves. But it has been confirmed that the Arua Super 8 tournament is going to be kicking off very, very soon in September. So we are going to be gracing ourselves to watch some of the talents that have been identified in the Regional League, in the 4th Division League. This is going to be a tournament which is going to be making sure that the teams get themselves onto the right track. Of course, these teams have been onto the market, they've been signing players. So this is now an opportunity for them to use the players that they've been signing in the transfer market. Liye Football Club added in Samson Chizokuti. Samson Chizokuti has another text here for him. Of course, last season the Super 8 was actually won by Lee Football Club. If I can still remember that one very, very well. Now, this is not going to be another turning point for Samson Sizo Kuti at the helm of Lee Football Club. Odramataku is equally there with this guy in the name of Tadat Lolo, who is doing a fantastic job with the team. Kulva Rainbow is having Adiga Morris into the mix. Fantastic coach as well. So, all these brains, they're going to be knocking them heads in the Arua Super 8 tournament, one of the most prestigious tournaments in the region. There's always actual awards being given in that. The top squad is always being given some token. The most valuable player is always been given a token. The best actual goalkeeper is always been given actually a glove. Then the winner itself is always been awarded with some cash. This is going to be one of the biggest things. Of course, the participation fee is always there. Like I think things paid near like 500 Ugandan shillings for them to register in this tournament. I don't know whether this money has been engaged a little bit, but I'll be talking to Apang Kurasi, the DFS chairperson of Arua City Football Club. Not forgetting Diego. These are my good friends. I'll be talking to them and I'll be finding out the right after the prizes that they have been put forth for these teams actually to get themselves registered for this actual prestigious tournament in Arua City. This is one of the tournaments that unites people together in Arua. It attracts a number of people, it attracts a number of fans, it attracts a number of stakeholders, it attracts sponsors, it attracts big personalities. In this, politicians normally come in through this, so people normally come through and advertise with the organizers. This is going to be one of the uniting factors in the region. So we want to see more teams playing in the Football Regional League. We want to see more teams playing in the Football Big League. We want to see more teams playing in the Southern Ghana Premier League. So the way through is by organizing tournaments. The way through is to have discipline. What am I actually expecting this tournament? We want to see discipline in this year's Super 8. Of course, we have seen chaos happening in, of course, teams have been actually crying foul of certain issues here and there. Teams have been crying foul of a lot of issues. But I think the organizers needed to work on that actually seriously, see that such kind of things are kind of minimized in this year's tournament of the Super 8. That's also what brief I can give you about that. Of course, let me leave that and talk about the Vipers Football Club. Of course, Vipers Football Club, they will be representing Uganda in the CAF Champions League preliminary stages. Now, Vipers, after learning the team that they will be playing in the first phase of the preliminary stages, Vipers will be playing against a team that comes from Mauritania, a team in the names of Nouadhibou. Of course, this is a team that is been one of the most organized teams of late in Mauritania, and Vipers is going to be playing against them. Remember, the Vipers head coach in the names of Denis Lavin did say that Vipers have landed on a very, very favorable team. He underrates this team that's come from Mauritania, not forgetting that his job at Vipers Football Club is at risk. Remember, Vipers went for the Sakava games down in Rwanda. Vipers got actually eliminated through. Now, you are coming up actually with this kind of statement after being eliminated from the Safaka games in Rwanda. Now you're giving this to Molindo that you have landed on a very on a favorable team. This is going to be putting your job at risk. This is going to be costing you. Definitely, if he is not going to be having that good performance against Nouadhibou, this is going to be one of the things that is going to be costing his job. Of course, Mourinho did say that he's not going to be getting tired of changing coaches. He's going to be changing coaches here and there. If you're not performing, definitely you can be fired. Of course, we have seen Vipers fired a number of even good coaches. So Denis Lavin has to be double careful with his words. Remember, this word that he has issued is already recorded into the books of Molindo, the club proprietor for Vipers Football Club. So, in case Vipers Football Club manages to beat this team that's come from Mauritania in the name of Nouadhibou, Vipers definitely will either play one of the teams in Africa. Also, their league is kind of organized. Ivory Coast, there's a team in Ivory Coast. In case the Vipers manage to beat this team in the name of Nouadhibou, Vipers may either play San Pedro always Nigeria's Rivers United. Remember, San Pedro comes from Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is one of the most organized nations in Africa. The teams are always playing professional football. They have got a number of exposed players. Now, with Nigeria's league also being up there when it comes to African football, Rivers United, in case Vipers beat this team in the names of Nwadibo, definitely Dennis Levy's words are going to be so costly for him. Don't underrate any team when it comes to CAF engagements. All the teams that actually reach to this level prepare themselves enough, rebuild themselves enough. You can't compare Ugandan football with the teams from Nigeria, with teams from Ivory Coast, with teams from Mauritania. They have got that exposure. Their players, they have seen it all when it comes to the big stage. Of course, Vipers Football Club has got 1 or 2 players who have seen it all. The likes of Farouk Miaz of this world, they're into the team. Joel Seydou of this world, they're into the team. Yes, but Bevin is still new into Ugandan football. Matters he has been in Africa before. He has seen it all in African football, but he is in a new league. He is in a new actual job. There's need for him to understand the players much actually enough in there. Of course, to me, he not understood the players of Vipers or that keenly enough. The players have not actually understood his game plan. The players are yet actually learning his dynamics into the game. But coming up with such kind of words, in my own view, is going to be costing his job for Vipers Football Club. In case he doesn't actually make it through, he's going to be facing the consequences under Mourinho. He's going to be fired, in my own view. That's according to me. And we're going to be waiting to see whether he is going to be doing actually a realistic job with the Vipers Football Club to see that the Vipers Football Club progresses to the group stages. So these are some of the mountain climbing factors for Vipers Football Club coming in that perspective. Let's cross over and we talk about the transfers. Of course, I'm seeing Sunday Danin is preparing himself so much here in the studios. Of course, he's coming with the weekly news digest. Of course, he'll be breaking for some of the big stories making headlines in the week. Of course, Manchester City are exploring a move for Chelsea's Argentine midfielder Enzo Fernandez, 25, where the Spanish midfielder Rodri, 30, expected to leave Manchester City for Barcelona Football Club. Of course, Rodri did say it clearly yesterday that he prefers a move to new camp and he wants to go and play with the likes of Dani Olmo, with the likes of Gavi, with the likes of Ferran Torres, with whom he had good times in the Euros. With them, he had good times in the World Cup, winning the Geroh with the young stars from Barcelona Football Club, winning the World Cup with the team. Remember, Real Madrid went right in the services of Rodri, but going to Barcelona Football Club is going to be the ideal reason for me to see Rodri crossing over to Barcelona Football Club. Of course, in case Rodri goes to Real Madrid, definitely he's going to be having 1 and 2 with Jose Felix Mourinho. We all know the game type that the Jose Felix Mourinho plays. He is one guy who loves sitting deep. Of course, he has the player that he can use, who can be important to sit deep like what he wants. The Eduardo Camavinga of this one, they're into the team. The Aurelio Tchouameni of this one, they're into the team. Those are the Jose Felix Mourinho type of players that he can use, not Rodri. Rodri is a player who loves passing the ball. Rodri is a player who loves moving forward. He's a player who loves just enjoying himself with the ball. But Jose Felix Mourinho at Real Madrid, he's not going to be offering for him that opportunity to enjoy himself in the middle of the park. But at the Barcelona Football Club, definitely Rodri is going to be having that. He's going to be having that actually enjoying moments on the pitch. He's going to be enjoying his actual movement. He's going to be enjoying his passes. He's going to be enjoying everything at the Barcelona Football Club. Of course, he has understood the type of football that Barcelona plays. He has kind of have that actually good chemistry with the young stars of Barcelona Football Club. With him, he has been doing it in the Euros and in the World Cup recently. The chemistry is already there. definitely, if Rodri goes into that team of Barcelona Football Club, Barcelona is going to be a team to talk about in the Champions League, in the Spanish La Liga. This is going to be a different Barcelona team. Of course, Rodri has said yes, and he's pushing for a move away from a third stadium, and he wants first a move to Barcelona Football Club. And I can tell you, Pep Guardiola is also influencing Rodri to quit Manchester City. Of course, now Manchester City is now looking at Enzo Fernandez as a direct replacement for Rodri in case he goes in. Of course, there has been a rumor that they also talked about Ayub also being linked into the job at Manchester City. So it still remains to be seen whether Ayub can be important to come in at Manchester City. Of course, Manchester City are pursuing his services actually matching there, and Rodri is going to be crossing over to Barcelona Football Club before the transfer window closes. But now it's not down to Barcelona Football Club to come into common terms with Manchester City. Can Barcelona Football Club be important to pay the money that Manchester City will be in need of the services of Rodri? That still remains to be seen, but Rodri could be a good addition into that team of Barcelona Football Club. Though he's aged, but Rodri is still at the peak of his football. Rodri is still doing ones and twos very, very well in there. His game reading is very, very okay. His aggression, his leadership is gonna be improving that team of Barcelona Football Club a lot in there. So Rodri is actually moved to Barcelona Football Club. I supported it, and going to Real Madrid is gonna be one of the things that is gonna be deteriorating his football in my own view. So at the Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal could bet to Manchester United for 21-year-old Italy striker Pio Pisto. Of course, they are saying that they wanted the Italian player to come in and play for them, and of course Inter Milan are viewing the player for a fee of around 73 million pounds. This is according to the Sun. Now, can Pio Pisto being important to join Manchester United, or is Arsenal still remains to be seen? But of course, Arsenal, they are interested in a number of players already in the transfer market. But I'll be breaking for you some of the players that Arsenal are interested in. Of course, at Liverpool have held primary talks with Paris Saint-Germain for France forward Bradley Barcola, but there is a significant gap in their valuations for the 23-year-old France international. This is according to Sky Sports. Of course, after missing out on Real Madrid's Brazil forward Vinicius Junior 26, Arsenal have three alternatives already lined up. As alternatives, they are looking at Paris Saint-Germain's Bradley Barcola. They are looking at Atletico Madrid and Argentina striker Julian Alvarez, and they are looking at Senegal's actual winger Ndiaye 26. As alternatives, of course, we all know Vinicius Junior has already signed a 6 years actual contract extension at Santiago Bernabeu, and he's going to be staying longer at Real Madrid. Arsenal are now looking at alternatives, so they're talking about Bradley Barcola, who has been on a hot cake. Of course, Liverpool are the preferred target. Of course, Liverpool are looking at him as a direct replacement for Mo Salah. Julian Alvarez is one of them. Of course, Alvarez worked with Mikel Arteta at Manchester City before, and Mikel Arteta is a big admirer of Julian Alvarez. He's a fantastic player. That's Julian Alvarez for you. And they I see it all in the English Premier League. He has been playing with Everton in the English Premier League. Now Arsenal are also looking at all these players in that perspective. Now, Newcastle United have told Manchester United that their 21-year-old England fullback Lewis Hall is not for sale this summer. After an initial inquiry, was actually rejected by Newcastle United. This is according to Sky Sports, and Manchester United bought one of the services of Lewis Hall in there, but the left back is said to be not for sale by Newcastle United, and Manchester United are going to be shifting their attention somewhere else. Of course, Aston Villa's Ezri Konsa is increasingly attracting interest from a number of teams. Arsenal talked about him, Paris Saint-Germain talked about him, Spurs talked about him, but now Spurs are saying that this player is actually one of the qualities that they need, and Aston Villa are saying that they are not going to be allowing the player to go at ease in there, so it remains to be seen. Of course, Ezri Konsa is already 28 years old already, and Arsenal is looking at experience already into their team. they've added this player in the name of Geroh into the team. They added Zolic into the team. Now they are looking at the ways of adding actually a defender into the books. Of course, we all know Saliba has been sidelined for Arsenal Football Club for a long period of time. Now Arsenal is looking at options at the centre back position. Matters, there have been a number of players who are going to be important to play there. Calfuri can play there. They are having a Masquera in there. They are having Hinkapia equal into the team. Arsenal still have backups in there, but now they are looking at one of the most experienced players in the Premier League in the name of Ezri Konsa. But Arsenal are saying that they are not in a rush way to sell this player in the name of Ezri Konsa. Hey guys, my time is up. I need to leave the studio for Sunday to come in to give you the best when it comes to the weekly news digest. Some of the biggest story that has been making headlines on the papers. He's coming up to give you some of the latest in that perspective. I'm out of here. Bye bye for now.